I don't know why, but you are watching the Madness Comic Network. Are you mental?
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
It's Tuesday. Where is your coffee? Do you know? My coffee's right here. Hi, everybody. I'm Laurie Calcaterra, writer, creator of your favorite Western apocalypse series, Path of the Pill Writer, which, by the way, Matt Chambers, our finishing this week. So I think he has 3 pages left to color. I have been lettering all along. So Rachel Bullock, who is our editor, is on deck. She'll be getting a first draft probably by Friday of issue number 6. I'm very excited. You know, all the fun fight music that you hear like a football, that's what plays in my head whenever we finish an issue. I love it. Side note, I got a kiddo who is homesick today. So if anybody, I know it says with Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt. I heard it too for some reason. I don't know. We need new music. Anyway, so she might make an appearance, or I might need to play a commercial and step away quick if she has something going on. But she tried to go to school, and then I got called to go pick her up. So it's one of those days. It's one of those days I'm going to need more caffeine. For those of you that didn't see my social media, I saw Von Fox this weekend, those of you, Murderface Von Fox, Hourglass Comics Von Fox, and so he's here in Texas, and I have you guys. I have so many stickers this campaign. I can't even stand it. So of course I got the holographic Big Boy James stickers came in along with the these are the temporary tattoos, the new ones. These are both stretch goals. I got these were just extra that I decided to do, the popsicle stickers. So everybody on your campaign should have done their survey by now. And there was an extra question that was like, what flavor ice cream would you be if you were ice cream? Anyway, so depending on how you answered, you're going to get one of these. So I have the Big James popsicle ones. They're super cute. The disc ones. And then I don't know where they went. There's Jude St. Clair ones too. I have so many stickers. It's ridiculous. I have, oh, they're over here. There's the, see what I mean? And then the early bird stickers that I always do, these came out super nice. Everybody that did those, and these are limited to 25. It's Jude St. Clair with good old sad pancake. So, and they're sparkly. And if that wasn't enough, I'm getting more stickers today. I just checked on delivery of the scratch and sniff stickers. They're supposed to be on my porch today. So super exciting. I'll have to let you know how terrible those zombie flesh ones smell, because that was the plan for them, just to be disgusting. I'm looking forward to sending them all to you. Yeah. Woo. Can't wait for number 6. Y'all just hearing this now. Yay, more stickers. I love everybody in the chat. Good morning. So yeah, so that's what's going on with me. You guys know my guest. I know you know who my guest is, or at least have heard of my wonderful guest, William Russell. It's his first time on the show. You've seen him on Facebook Live. He does this thing where he's driving to cons and talks to everybody while he's doing it. So if you haven't met him, you've definitely seen his art, because he has been doing covers for Path of the Pale Rider since issue number 3. So we've been collaborating for a while. So it's great to have him on the show. Everybody give a nice warm welcome, William Russell. Yay!
What's up, Laurie? What's up, everybody?
Good
Thank you so
morning.
much for having me.
Yeah. I'm so happy to host you on the show. And it's like, people don't realize that a lot of times we have a relationship outside of, the interwebs.
Yeah.
But it's
Yep, that's for sure.
Right? But it's good to have you on the show. And it's fun because then you and I can bombard you with questions that I haven't had a chance to ask you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm always angry. So
he's always angry. It's like he's Hulk, you know what I mean? That's his superpower.
Right. That's the secret. I'm always angry.
That's how it goes. So usually with the Brew, I welcome people on and then I ask them about their origin story. And I'm kind of embarrassed. I don't even know how you actually got into comics. I know that wasn't originally your profession.
No, I wasn't even on the radar.
Right. So tell me how it all started, man.
Like most artists, I drew as a kid growing up and stuff, but just did it occasionally and, with friends or whatever. And then, real life kicked in. You're married, you're having children, and you don't really mess with it too much after that. But yeah, 7 years ago, and some people have heard this story, but 7 years ago, I was with my company that I'd been with for a long while. One of the top producers in the company. I was in the insurance world. I handled life insurance benefits for union members and stuff like that. I absolutely loved what I did. I loved the interaction with the people on a personal level because we handled all this stuff in home for them. So I absolutely loved it. I made stupidly good money doing it, but it was, yes, right. It was really weird. At that particular moment, I haven't picked a pencil up. I haven't collected comics in probably 12 or 15 years. And I hadn't picked a pencil up. I mean, straight up picked one up in 10 years, if not a little longer. And I was sitting in a park one day, beautiful sunny day in Memphis, Tennessee. And I was in between appointments and I was just sitting in a park doing paperwork and stuff, wasting some time before I headed to my next appointment. And I'm sitting there and I look across at a pavilion, and there's a family sitting there, and with their young kids, and they're coloring and they're drawing and all of this, and I don't know what happened, but something hit me like a brick,
Mm.
and I wanted to draw again, and not only draw, but I wanted to actually break in and do something with it. And I immediately left right then and drove down to a Michael's, bought a bunch of art supplies because I didn't even have art supplies anymore,
Yeah.
and bought a bunch of that. And from that very moment on, for a solid year straight, I worked my other career, but I also drew 2 to 4 to 5 hours a day, 7 days a week for a year
Wow.
straight without a
And
break.
see, and that's how you build a skill,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I mean, it's true. Doing it that way, and I preach it that way to people now. When new artists ask what should they do, I'm a big believer in doing that way, just because it teaches you how to draw when you don't feel like it. It teaches
Yeah.
you how to draw when you're exhausted and you're sore or sick or whatever the case. You're drawing no matter what, and you're drawing for the sake of drawing. You're not drawing because you're being paid to do it. It also, by drawing that often, that quickly, you will see really high leaps in your quality of artwork every
Yeah.
couple months, every 3 months or so, and it teaches you to get used to that type of workload. So I did that for a year straight, and then at the year anniversary, I created a Facebook page, a Facebook group, and I started sharing my stuff out on social media. I actually posted to a bunch of comic groups and art groups that I was going to go live that coming Friday night and do a live sale. And I did. I went live for a couple of hours and sold all the art I've been stockpiling for that
Cool.
year. Sold like $1,600 worth of art on the first live show, and then another 12 or 1,400 the second night. And I knew right then, okay, I can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And, I knew I wasn't the best artist, obviously. I didn't have a name at the time or anything like that. So I knew what I had to do was absolutely be the biggest grinder in the room, and
Mhm.
make sure no one outworks me. So, but
Yeah.
like I said, it was just out of the blue. And now here we are. I did that. I worked about 6 months taking commissions and stuff while I worked my other job. And then I realized I couldn't do that anymore because I was
Yeah.
doing 8 hours a day on the insurance Monday through Friday. Then I was drawing another 6 to 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I did that for about 6 months. It actually gave me a health scare. My blood sugar and everything skyrocketed. I lost a lot of my vision. And I knew right then I had to stop one or the other. And if I gave up art at that point, I knew I would never, ever touch it again. So I gave up a 6-figure career to jump into
Wow.
art, and haven't looked back since. Here we are 6 years later from that day, a little over 6 years, 130 published covers, everything from Image Comics to Dynamite to tons of indies. And I even have my own IP that's up to issue number 8 with Psycho South. So yeah, one hell of a ride, that's for sure.
Yeah,
It's been one hell of a ride.
absolutely. Now, and see, this actually makes sense to me because I knew you were from the insurance world, but I didn't realize that you were like in sales. So
Yeah,
now that makes more sense to me because I've seen you in action at Comic Cons and I've seen
yeah,
you, like work a crowd and how you appreciate and make sure everybody feels special when they come and they purchase
yeah.
something from you. And that's a skill that a lot of people don't have. And so that
No, I
makes
don't.
perfect sense to me
Yeah,
that that's when you
it
kind of
is.
got to that.
I still view this, and I don't think I'll ever change that mentality. And you guys have heard me preach this before. I have zero filter between my brain and my mouth. I have a zero tolerance for bullshit, petty, bullying, drama, harassment, and I'll call it out. So
Yeah.
I believe the fans are the absolute bloodline to this industry, not me, not Jim Lee, not David Finch, not anyone else.
Right.
Any of us could walk away at any moment, no matter how long you've been in the industry, and this machine keeps rolling. But if you chase the fans away, if you run them off, there's no more anything. So
Right.
the fans are the absolute bloodlines. We're there to put on a service and a show for them. They pay
Mhm.
their hard-earned ass money to come see us at Comic Cons, store signing events, and all of that. These folks are spending money that they probably, in most cases, maybe shouldn't be
Shouldn't.
spending.
Right.
Because we don't all have a lot of disposable income. So they're choosing to come see you. So the least you can do is make them feel welcome, make them feel appreciated, give them the time they need to visit with you at a show, or you know, I answer every PM I get on social media every single day. I answer every email I get, me personally, no handlers, no nothing. And I think they deserve that treatment because
I
they
kind of wish
are
I
the
had a
absolute
handler.
do what?
I kind of wish I had a handler sometimes.
Oh, I don't want one. I won't even, like, I collect art.
No,
I
I'll
mean,
just.
I get commissions, and if I have to talk to a handler, I won't buy
Oh
the
no,
commission.
that's different. That's different. I like commission, but sometimes I
Oh,
feel
I
like
still won't.
I'll send my people to William. Be like, oh yeah, no, talk to my. No, he's
Yeah, I don't like I don't like the attitude that a lot of artists have these days with this "don't you know who I am" mentality, because I think it's irrelevant who they are. At the end of the day, we're drawing people in underwear. You know, we're not storming beaches, we're not running into burning houses or fighting crime on the streets. We're sitting in our air-conditioned little offices, drinking our $10 lattes and playing on our $1,000 phones while we draw superheroes. So fans deserve
I
better.
mean, it's the truth, right?
I mean,
Yeah. So I'm with you on that. And like, we were at Texoma. So for people that don't know, William and I end up at a lot of the same Comic Cons. And what's been nice is we've been requesting to be side by side. So since I've been writing Psycho-Cell since issue 4, and since William has been doing covers for Path since issue 3, it makes sense for us to sit next to each other. So you can sign my cover, I sign your covers. You feel called out. Oh no, Mr. Fish.
I mean, it's so bad in the industry. I have a T-shirt I wear to certain shows that I had made, and it says, "Check your ego. You're drawing comics, not storming beaches."
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But just the approach of customer first, and we have fun. We joke around with people, but we, we make ourselves available to sign covers for free and stuff like that. Like, I really had a generally good time tabling next to you. And Andrea, your girlfriend, is wonderful. We all wonder how you got her. So
She's a sweetheart.
well, we're always like,
Yeah.
how did that
Well, I
happen?
mean, it's easy. I mean, I'm a god among men, so I mean, it's just one of those things. What's up, Kevin? What's up, everybody? Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love, like, I keep my, you've probably know, I'm sure you've noticed, I keep my circle very small. You know, I've shared my platform with many people. I've shared out many people's content that has nothing to do with me, because I do believe in that community concept that a lot of people want to talk, but they don't walk it. But you know, so I have a blast, like when I'm tabling next to you, or I'm tabling next to Chris Hayes, or you know, any of these other artists that are in my circle. So
yeah, we have a good time. I don't know if people know how we met. We actually met. It was at Cowtown 3 years ago, and I think issue number 3 of Psycho-Cell was wrapping up, or was in production, something.
Yeah, I think Chris introduced me to you because I told him, because for those that don't know, Psycho-Cell is my creator-owned IP, and it's about a serial killer in New Orleans in the 1980s. But with that creation of IP, I wanted to do something really unique that hasn't been done in comics that we're aware of, and we've not been able to find otherwise. Because Psycho-Cell is 9 books, which is a really weird number for comics. And the reason for that, we do this perspective changes through the book. So it's one consistent story. You're experiencing the same story as it unfolds, but it bounces in perspective. So issues 1 through 3 is being experienced through the lead FBI agent working the murders. Issue 4 through 6 is through the eyes of the victim. Then 7 through 9 is through the eyes of Psycho-Cell. So I wanted, Chris wrote the first 3 books with me. He took all my notes and everything because I'm not a writer, and he converted it into a script. Gave his own little twist to a lot of it, and created this really intense ass story. And I told him I wanted to tap into a female writer to write the female perspective. And that's when he's like, "Oh, dude, I got somebody I got to introduce you to. Her name's Laurie. She's an incredibly talented writer." And, you know, that's how we met. And you know, of course, I was nervous as hell at first, because that's always a risky thing when you take something and you hand it off to someone else, just for they may not understand what you're trying to tell, what you're trying to do. And then, of course, I give them these like pages of notes You better take my random thoughts about what needs
No.
to happen. And then they got to try to like piece that together. And I saw the first script that Laurie did for issue number 4, and I was absolutely blown away. I mean, you absolutely murdered it. And I was like, oh hell yeah, I got this, because you brought your own ideas to some of it. You brought your own twist to it with certain things, and the way you had it flow and your attention to detail with the writing. I could not have. I believe I struck gold the first time with Chris, because again, that's a rare thing to do when you're giving someone else your ideas and you have to hope they can convert it into what you're wanting. And Chris absolutely nailed it. And then to strike lightning twice with you, I was like, I need to go buy some damn lottery tickets, because that is rare. For those that don't know, that's rare.
Yeah, and that was my first time like walking around in someone else's world.
Yeah.
And putting my own ideas, but also staying within the confines of how you wanted this story to go. And when William says he gives notes, yes, he gives notes. We would sit down and have just like brainstorming sessions, and we would just talk through like where we want the story to go and like ideas for how we get there. I would write stuff, and then we would fine tune the dialogue, and just to make sure it really was what William saw in his head, because again, I'm seeing it through the Laurie Calcaterra filter.
Right.
But I think I gave TL a life of her own, and then
no doubt.
turned into something else. I have to recall though, so that was my very first Comic-Con experience ever at that Cowtown.
Oh, really?
It was. And Chris was like, because that was Chris Hayes, Cowtown is Chris and Kim, and that's their Comic-Con. And they had someone cancel. So it was like, hey, it's next weekend. Do you want to come set up a table? And I think I had issue 1, maybe issue 2 was working, almost done, maybe. And so I was setting up with basically nothing. It was like a tablecloth and some book stands. And so I already was like feeling out of my depth. And then he's like, come on, I want to show you when you just do William Russell. And I was like, okay. And he was like, don't be afraid of him. I'm like, who says that? I'm like, don't be afraid. Why would I be afraid? He was like, you'll see. But I think we hit it off immediately. Like we were goofing around and we had a good time. And
we did. Like I pitched you the story. I told you what I was trying to do. And like I said, I was I'm not gonna lie about it. I was super nervous, because Psycho Sal is also one of those books. It's a break from any horror style stuff that's been done, especially in comic books. Now you're starting to see serial killer comics come out. I've noticed that recently too. Now we're getting some more serial killer.
Yes. I think serial killers have always been, like you said, an interest. People are interested in like it's like divergent way that people think. You know what I mean? To push them over to the edge to be a serial killer. But we've seen like a lot of like documentaries on Netflix. But now I can name probably 3 or 4 off the top of my head of comic books with serial killers. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, there's been several jump out of the gate when Psycho Sal debuted. and Psycho Sal's done great. It's been a big hit with the fans. I mean, for those that don't know, horror is a hard niche market to do anyway.
Yeah.
In comics, it's extremely hard. We haven't seen horror comics since the 70s until Walking Dead came out.
There was a like Creepy Show and Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, that was 70s and the 80s. Yep.
Okay.
So, but it was real big in the 70s in comics. 70s and pre. And then 80s had some, and then it kind of, once the comic book code came out, horror was gone. That it got pretty much washed out. We had a little bit of it spring up through the 90s with the Jason comic or the Freddy comic, but again, very, very small niche market to do. So it's one of those things that you got to be insane to try to do a horror comic. Now, over the last 6 or 7 years or so, give or take, Walking Dead kind of opened up the door a little bit. But I mean, hell, even Robert Kirkman had to lie to Image Comics to get Walking Dead printed. I mean, he told them it was about aliens later on. That it gets revealed late. Oh, okay. Because at first they told him no, we don't do horror comics. But now, after that came out, over the last 6 years, we've seen Ha Ha, Ice Cream Man, Something's Killing the Children, things like that have come out of the woodwork a little bit, and that's kind of opened the door a little bit more. And like I said, Psycho Sal's done really well. It's been out 2 years now, issue number 1 since that dropped, 2 years, I think. And
I think it's going on 3 years, isn't it? Wasn't it 2020?
Yeah, maybe 3. Yeah, well, if you count 2025, 3 years. So
Yeah.
I think it came out 2023, I believe.
3? No, it had to be 2022 because you
Then
were
it would
already
have
in
to be-
production when
It
I
has to be like
started.
December. It'd have to be like the
Was it?
last year of 2022. So going on 4 years then, this
Yeah,
coming
okay.
December, I guess. But in that time frame up until now, I mean, cover A has already passed 3,000 printed and sold.
That's amazing.
If you count all the variants for Comic-Con exclusives, comic shop exclusives, and stuff like that, we're probably around 5,000 printed and sold.
Wow.
That's big for a horror comic.
And for indie, period.
Yeah, I mean, that's big for indie too, of course, but it's definitely big for indie horror. I've got people that aren't even horror people that are reading Psycho Sal. And that's because of you guys with the way you approach the writing and stuff for the story. Like I said, Chris laid down an incredible groundwork, and then you came in and just like hammered it. I mean, I'm super impressed with what you've done with the book. I'm so proud of it.
Thank you. I had to laugh though, because with issue 7, 6, one of them where there's some nudity, but it's not done in a salacious way, right?
Yeah, it's not sexual nudity.
It's not. It's psychological.
To show you how demented this guy is.
It's torture. It's torture because he takes away everything of comfort from people.
Exactly.
But it just made me laugh because here we are, like taking people apart. Like there's body horror, and then it wasn't until one of my issues where someone on the team was like, "Man, maybe we should put a mature rating on this," and I was like, "Haha! I finally did it."
Yeah, I mean, case in point, like Mads mentioning Lucifer Storm, Hart Fisher. You got 0.001% of someone doing horror comics.
Is this the name of the book? Is this Hart Fisher's book, Jesus versus Dahmer?
I don't know. That sounds like an indie book. But again, it doesn't change the point that it's an extremely small niche market and ignored for the most part by major companies. So
I think it's getting bigger though. I think that
horror's definitely gaining some steam. I mean, again, you got DC and Marvel and Image Comics who said we don't do horror. Now they're doing horror. So it definitely has a foothold. Yeah.
Well, I think that, when they were because there's horror, like you said, in Image. One of my favorite ones about serial killers is called Nailbiter. It's great. It's a great series. And it's about this town that has produced more serial killers per capita than any other place in the world. And people go there, and it's almost like they're hero worshiping, like people do with criminals, which is so bizarre. But they go there and they go on like a murder tour where they talk about like how different serial killers have evolved from this town and what they did and murder sites. And it's just so weird. But that's a great series. But now it's like we have Ripper Jean, right?
Yep.
That's Jason's, right?
Jason Turner, yep.
Thank you. I was like, I'm gonna forget his last name for a hot second because put myself on the spot. But who else? There's
as far as serial killers, now to be fair, I don't really keep up with what's happening in indie anymore.
You're like, I'm too busy. Dahmer's victims tries to. Oh no. He was on a daytime talk show and shit and got banned from selling Jesse for life. That's kind of funny. I would wear that as a badge of honor. Been banned from daytime crap shows.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, indie is picking up heat in general. Now, are there crap loads of indie books out there that are straight up trash? Yep. And that's why most people don't take indie serious, because we've had decades of constant TNA covers, constant borderline porn comics with crappy writing, crappy artwork, crappy print quality because they print outside the US, etc. So, I mean, I can understand why most people don't want to give indie a second thought. But over the last at least 6 to 10 years, there's been a lot of really good stories, especially over the last 5 years. There's been a lot of really good stories coming out of the indie department where people are putting out legit books.
Yeah.
I definitely think a lot of mainstream fans need to start opening their eyes a little bit to indie books. There really are some good ones out there.
I want to share a story. So,
Yeah.
what was it? Was it at Texoma? Yes, it was at Texoma. I had someone that moves in our circle, and I'm not going to name names, but that caught me off guard that we had this conversation. And it was someone that was like, I have most of your books, but I went and I actually read them. And I was like, you've been buying my books and not reading them? And they're like, yeah, I want to support indie, and I like you and I want to support
Hold
you.
on for 1 second. There's a big difference between tits and ass covers for the sole purpose of trying to sell a book to be sexy than doing a TNA cover and of a homage to a Batgirl 41 to show the intensity of the character. Now, that cover was a topless cover variant on the Kickstarter. But again, it wasn't a sexy cover. It was a cover to show you how demented and how torturous and how hateful this character is, because Psycho Sal is written to be 100% pure hate. He is not to be liked. He is not to be sided with. There's no one-liners, no jokes, no levity. He is meant for you to despise. And so there's a difference between using a topless cover where a person has cuts and body damage and stuff to show you how evil the person is that has them at hostage, than someone drawing some random naked chick on the cover with her legs spread wide open as a TNA cover. So there's a huge difference.
And I have to say, you have to read Psycho Cell to understand.
Exactly.
Because
but you can look at the cover and tell that cover is not a sexy cover. That is not what that cover is. There's nothing about that cover that even remotely should lean you to that being sexy, unless you're looking at assault and
it's like somebody got some kink in there.
Violation of someone in a hateful way. If you look at that cover and you're looking at it, oh, look, here's a naked girl with boobs out. I don't know what to tell you on that one, because that's not what that cover says. And that's not what anybody I know has seen that cover and went, oh shit. Hey, now
no kink shaming.
Nope, on that one.
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. People can like what they like. But my point is like, if you read the story, the person that wrote the nudity into Psycho Sal was me. Okay.
Yep.
So we have a team of all guys and me. Our colorist is female as well. So if you want to, how do I want to say? So we were worried about the amount of nudity in one of them, the one that we were like, maybe we should put an explicit warning on one of these. And I was like, tell him your writer is female. I'm like, it's terrifying to think that if you are captured and they take everything away from you, including your clothes, how helpless you would feel. I'm like, so it's not nudity in a salacious manner. It's nudity as psychological torture. And so that's where it came from. And so that's why I mean, like, if you read it and you see, then you'll understand that part of it. And so the covers, reflect what's going on psychologically in the comic.
Yeah. And again, that's the other thing that'll let you know is that wasn't a cover for the sake of being a cover. That cover was a very low print on the Kickstarter only, and you could not get it outside the Kickstarter. And even on the Kickstarter, I think it was limited to 20. So it wasn't, anybody that's trying to make money off nudity wouldn't do it that way. They would be trying to print that book till the cows came home, like everybody that crutches on TNA books. Because I'm sorry, don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with pornography. I think people ingest it too much these days, but I don't have a problem with it. But if nudity is being done where it fits the story, I can understand it. I've done topless covers and nude covers for indie books and other books, but I refuse to do borderline hustler covers. I won't do them. If it's topless or nude, but it's done in a beautiful sexual way with the artwork, I'll do that. But I'm not drawing random so-and-so with their legs spread wide for the sake of selling a book, because I can't write a quality story. And I'm sorry, that's the way a lot of this is these days. People can get mad at me if they want to.
that
But,
goes
and I'm
back to
not
my
saying you're getting
story.
mad at me in the audience. I'm just speaking in general. I think too many people crutch on sexual covers or sexual content on the interiors to sell books. And the
Right.
sad thing is, it is an easy way to make money. I've watched
Well,
people do those Kickstarters and do $30,000, $40,000 Kickstarters on borderline porn. And I've heard those creators sit and tell me to my face that their story is garbage.
well, that's the thing is like even the people that are buying those covers aren't necessarily even opening the book.
Yeah.
So, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
no,
So they're
they're not.
buying it and they're putting it, you know, because of the art, but
Yeah.
they're not reading the story.
Yeah,
And
but I'm so
so,
sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to acknowledge
no,
that to him, what we were doing on that book. Now, what were you saying about the
yeah.
con? And
Well,
somebody
this
said they
it
read your
ties
book.
into my story that that this is a person that I know that has bought books from me and has never read them because because again, that's the impression is that it's indie, it's probably garbage.
Yeah,
And so this person read, I think they had 3 and 4, and they were like, "Where I need to fill in the blanks." You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I can have the whole story because 3 and 4 were amazing. And
yep,
I was like, "I'm so surprised that you don't have these already." You know what I mean? But so
yeah,
even people that know you, that want to support you are not necessarily reading your stuff. And when they read my stuff, they are surprised at how good
yeah.
it is. So I was just like,
Yep. I mean, the biggest compliment I've gotten, I'm real ballsy when it comes to Psycho Sal about how proud I am of it and how I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. There's been many cons, these large cons where I'm in pro row, and fans come up and they're buying things or they're looking at things, and I'm telling them about Psycho Sal. And I've had many people, either tell me they're not into horror, okay, or they tell me, oh, well, I don't really read indie. I've
right.
had bad experiences with indie books,
Oh,
yada,
yeah.
yada. What's up, bud? And, and I'll sit there and tell them, I was like, I've done this many times over the last few years. I'll hand them a copy of issue number 1 of Psycho Sal. And I'll
Yeah.
straight up tell them, here, take this with you. Read it here at the show today if you're only here for today, or if you're here tomorrow, read it when you get back to your home. And if you love it, come back tomorrow, pay me my $20 for issue number 1. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. I appreciate your time. I've
Yeah.
done that many times, and not a single time have they not shown back up, not only to pay me for the book I gave them, they
And get
bought
the
the
rest.
other copies of the book because it
Yeah.
absolutely floored them.
I love
Because they were
that.
like, holy hell, that was incredible. I love it. I
Yes.
can't believe it. That blew me away. I've had such bad experience with other indie books. I was like, the writing on this is incredible. And, so that's been one of the biggest compliments is I gave somebody a book with zero money, and they could not resist coming back and not only paying me for that book, but buying the other 5 or 6 issues that were out.
Yeah, and I've seen that, you guys. So like I've seen people like William lays out what are we on? We have 7 published, right?
Yep.
So they're all spread out. I'm going through and I'm finding mine, I'm signing mine, but I'm just like, it's incredible that they get the whole thing. I've
Yep.
had that same situation as well, where someone was like, I don't really know, I don't really like indie. And then they read, I'm like, just, issue 1. You know what I mean? They
Yep.
take issue 1, they come back. First thing they say to me is, how dare you with that horse? And then they said, give me the rest of them.
Yep.
Okay, that's how it goes.
Yeah, because issue 1 of Psycho Sal, it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's the whole
and you
point.
don't even get to see well, you kind of do, but you don't get to see Psycho Sal in issue 1. His first full appearance is in issue number 2. And he's completely right. That stereotype, like, it is extremely hard to break. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so hard to break that I've taken bigger names than me, Miko, Ryan Kincaid, etc., put them on the cover of Psycho Sal. And while they can do Marvel and DC covers and their fans show up like crazy, only a handful of their fans will show up to
Really?
buy that indie cover.
Hmm.
So it is a hard stereotype and again, it's an earned stereotype. I'm sorry, because I've purchased lots of indie books, and it was some of the worst reading I've ever seen, some of the worst artwork, etc. And there are so many indie books out there right now because it's an easy road to travel that it's constant TNA covers. You go look at some of these indie groups, almost every damn post is a nude ass female, spread eagle and all kinds of things, because again, it's the easiest denominator. So we do have a hard stereotype to break, but that's where we need you fans, and we need other promoters and other creators to really look at the indie people that love and appreciate and have a passion for what they're doing to put out quality work, and give that a chance and really look at it, because it is worth looking at on some of them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good point too, Keith. It's like any other art form. People have to start somewhere. People's first indie book may be rougher. And I can contest to this. I go back and I continually retouch my issues where I'm like, oh, I found an error. Oh, I found this. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I relettered issue number 1 because I'm so much better at lettering. But my issue 1 was rough. It's if you stick with it and you're consistent and you turn out a product like you say you're going to, and you have passion. And that I think is what success is. And that's why I buy the number 1 first print. That's that's how it goes.
Especially these days, because you never know what indie book gets flipped into a TV or movie.
Yep.
So that's something else. It's always smart. If it's a solid book, it's always smart to buy that issue number 1.
Look at how many times he's changed the original Star Wars. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between growing and learning and applying what you've learned to make your book better, and it starts out a little rough. There's a big difference between that, and that's not what I'm talking about. No. I'm not trying to bash anybody who's doing their best with what they can. I put almost $5,000 into Psycho Sal every single issue before the book is ever printed. Before the book ever goes to even Kickstarter, I've already fully paid for that book, and it's 100% complete when we turn to Kickstarter. Not everybody can do that. I get that. And that's the people I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the people who legitimately are putting out trash, terrible writing, terrible artwork, terrible storytelling, and slapping, that on the cover. That's the stuff I wish would go away. I really do, because it degrades us in the eyes of all the mainstream collectors. I mean, I've got copies of Psycho Sal that's outsold Clayton Crane on Whatnot shows.
That's right.
There's definitely a market for indie.
Right. Now, I recently had this conversation with another creator because, again, the sexual covers tend to get attention. And it was, it's like when you see someone make a large amount of money on a Kickstarter, and I had this whole internal debate. So here's what happened in my head. I was like, what if I did a cover like that? And then it was like, I really don't want to show it to my mom or my kids, so I would feel embarrassment or shame about this cover. Right.
I would.
And then it's like, well, but look at how much money it's making. Could I justify making that money and then turning around and putting it into my project in the future? And then I was like, Jesus Christ, this is how people start an OnlyFans.
Yeah. I mean, I've sat and had the same discussion with Chris. I've had the same discussion with other artists. There's no doubt about it. Like I've done a semi new cover for you.
Right. I have one. But again, it fits with my story because I was talking about what happens when the undead, how does that relationship work? It was one of those, like, let's have a conversation about this.
Yeah. But again, there's a big difference between beautiful, because there's nothing wrong with the female form. It's beautiful, it's sexy, it's elegant. And when it's done tasteful on covers or posters or albums or whatever, it's gorgeous. But there's a big difference. Again, I'm not bashing someone who does a beautifully done topless cover, or even a fully nude, beautifully done cover where the bits are kind of hidden. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about the stuff that looks like it should be on the cover of a Hustler magazine. So there is a big difference. But yeah, we've had the same conversation. Like, I know it's frustrating. Like, there's nothing that annoys. That's why I don't have TikTok. That's why I try to stay off Instagram as much as I can, because there's nothing. I hate there's a game to be played. I hate the fact that someone can stand there for 10 seconds, bounce their boobs half-ass naked, and get 200,000 damn likes, or, 1 million damn followers on the bullshit. And then we sit here and grind hours upon hours to create beautiful pieces of art and storytelling, and we can't get a handful of likes or a handful of shares. But random, bimbo
boobs.
Can bounce their
random
shit
boobs.
for 30 seconds. I mean, I hate there's a game.
So the person I was having this conversation with was like, Laurie, your story doesn't need a gimmick. He's like, your story is
Mhm.
amazing. He's like,
Yep,
unless you're
I
going to go
agree.
full on into Booby Town, there is no point of you doing gimmicks. He's like, you obviously don't need them. He's
Thank you,
like, your
Keith.
story is growing. You don't need that gimmick. And I was like, okay, because I don't
Yep.
want to go full blown boobs, right? I never do. And so that's why that made the decision for me. I was like, you're
Yeah.
right. I don't want
Yeah,
to
because
go
there's no
full on
doubt.
boob money.
I could slap the same nudity, and again, not tasteful, but just blatant porn on the cover in Psycho Sal. I bet you do a $40,000 Kickstarter. And I
You'd have
know
to put
that,
it on the you'd have to put it on the thumbnail though.
but it would.
That's the
I mean,
thing.
that's the sad thing is it would. But I don't want to play that game. I've got 4 daughters. You know, don't get me wrong. My daughters
Do
understand the
bulges instead.
difference.
I'm gonna pass on that.
It does bulges. Like I said, if it's tastefully done, it's great. I don't have an issue with
Right,
that
you could be
whatsoever.
sexier without being vulgar, like
Yeah,
Mr.
you can.
Fish says. There's no creativity to bouncing boobs.
And there is
So
power in that. There's power in that sexuality. So, you know, drawing a seductress, you know, whether it's like a witch or a vampire or just a female character in general, and they're using that. I mean, there is power to that for sure. You know, but like I said, you know, we did do the one cover, but it was a Kickstarter only. So it wasn't one of those things that was intended for mass production or anything like that. Even on that, it was limited. Just like we did on that cover I did for you. It's done tastefully, it's done
right.
sexy, beautiful. You know, should I? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I'm gonna start an Only Dads fans or something. But
We're a two-piece, Chris.
but yeah, but anyway, let's move on to your other
Anyway,
question.
all
I can
right.
sit here and
So
rant about that
here's a
stupid
few
crap
things
all
I want
day.
to mention in this show.
Yeah,
So one, I have had a blast writing Psycho Sal.
good.
And I'm a little nostalgic because this is my last issue writing Psycho Sal
Yep,
because we are getting towards that higher number, and it was always intended to be 9. And
yep,
I've had a good run. So Chris Hayes did 1, 2, and 3. I picked up 4, 5, and 6.
yep.
I had the joy of writing 7 and 8. And now Chris is going to pick up with number 9 and close up shop and hit the home run. So this, my friends, is like I said, it's joyful. It's also a little sad for me because this is my end of writing Psycho Sal. I'm still going to be involved because I'm going to be lettering going forward, but
Yeah.
um
And you
it is
also
what it is.
help
So
create some of the personality to Psycho
stop
Sal
it.
too. You know,
Jeez,
that's right. You got to have good feet.
stop it.
You've definitely helped me, you know, define his personality, you
Yes.
know, and help push the limits on who he is. You know, like I said, we from the get-go, one of the things I told you guys, and that's the other thing I have to give you and Chris kudos about, because a lot of times when you bring a writer on to do something, even if you gave them a full-blown script, you know, notes to rewrite into a script, a lot of people will try to change it and make it theirs. And I have to give you guys a lot of respect. You didn't take what I was trying to do and alter it and change it into what you thought it should be.
Right.
Now you added your feedback and you added your twist and you added your flavor to it for sure. And you help even, you know, define a bit more of T.I.'s personality along with Psycho Sal's. Like Chris helped create some of Psycho Sal's personality from the start, and then you helped push that along and add to it. And so I'm extremely grateful for that. You know, I'm grateful that you were able to do work with me on issue 7 and 8. Chris was super busy with other projects and Comic-Con stuff, so he couldn't jump back on at issue number 7. So, you know, Laurie was gracious enough to help finish that out. And I, you know, I definitely wanted to make sure Chris came back on for issue 9, because if it hadn't been for Chris, I don't know when I would have got to this, you know, because I'm extremely busy, you know, knock on wood, that's a good problem to have. But if I'd have been doing all this by myself, shit, it would have been 1 issue a year if we were lucky.
It's so
And
much
right
work.
now, yeah, and right now, because of you and Chris and the rest of the team, with Marcelo doing interiors and Marcy doing colors, and you know, and everybody that's helped with this to make it possible, you know, we've got one of the fastest producing damn indie books on the market. So
Yeah.
And sorry for the dark colors, guys, on some of those covers on the Kickstarter. For some reason, when we put them on there, they just came out dark.
Yeah,
So,
that's okay. I think
but
people can see. I mean, it's the cover itself is pretty dark, but this is a good cover. I love
yeah,
the piece cover.
I can't show any
This is so
covers on
fun.
my end. Never mind. I was
You
going to
can?
show the actual covers, um,
You can share
but yeah,
screen?
so yeah, I always try to have variety on the covers for the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I also try to share my platform that most people don't do for some weird reason. Well, no, it's not a weird reason. I get why most people don't do it. When you bring on unknowns, the money you pay them to do the cover or the money you give them with comps of their cover when it's printed, you're not going to recoup that money. It
Right.
just is what it is. But I believe in sharing my platform. I mean, I don't have the largest platform, but I've got a pretty solid one. So every Kickstarter, I try to bring on 1 or 2 artists that's never been published. So like Michael Gardner with his
Yeah.
cover,
This is super
that one
cool.
right there. And sorry again for the dark image. Let me see if I can, while I'm doing this. I brought in, he's been a fan of mine for a
Yes.
while, and he brought me that piece of art for that as a gift. I was doing a show in Tennessee, and he drove out from all right, I
Where
just
are you
sent you
from,
the
Michael?
cover for him. Sorry, I
He's
just
watching
sent you
on
the cover.
YouTube. I know he's there.
Yeah,
Where'd you drive in from?
yeah, and he drove in from Bristol, and I sent you the covers in case
Got
you
it.
wanted to share the covers direct, so they could see them better. But he gave it to me as a gift, and he was telling me how I got him back into drawing, and that there we go. It's still a bit dark, so I apologize for that, guys. But um, um,
That's
and
incredible.
I told him I saw the pencils, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude, this is really good."
Yeah.
And he was giving it to me as a gift, and I was completely blown away, and and hearing the story and everything. And so I was like, well, you know what? I tell you what, I'd already wrapped up the covers. We were done for issue number 7. I said, you know what? Let's do this. I was like, if you don't mind, let me take the cover. Let me put it on the cover of Psycho Sal. This will be your first published work. When the book is printed, I'll send
Justin?
you 10 or 15 copies of your cover. I'll pay for them, give them to you, do what you want to with them. And he was like, oh, hell yeah, please. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. And, he was like, would you mind inking it for me? And I was like, okay, sure. So I set some time aside and I inked it for him, added all the rain and the lightning and all this other hatching and detail to this pencil work.
Amazing.
Enhanced it a bit, sent that to Dave and Dan Kemp, and Dave did the colors on it. And now he's going to have his first ever published cover.
That's so cool.
We've got a 16-year-old young lady that's on this issue of Psycho Sal. Her
That's
father, Danny D, has been a fan of mine for a long time. He's come to a bunch of Florida shows to see me. I've met his daughters a couple times. They, been drawing, and he asked me would I be willing to let her do a cover, and I was like, sure, I'll give her a shot. So she laid out the pencils for this cover. Like I said, 16 years old. She
Wow.
laid out the covers. Sam De La Rosa, the inker of Venom and et cetera, for Marvel, he inked this piece for her. And then they had it professionally colored by oh my goodness, I'm gonna have a brain fart now.
See, this happens when you put yourself on the spot.
Yeah, it never fails.
Never fails.
Freddie Lopez Jr. colored it.
Okay.
Yep. So I try to share the platform. Now, am I going to recoup any monies paid or print copies of their books paid for? Probably not.
Yeah.
It just is the way it is with indie. Probably the most selling cover on the Kickstarter will be mine, like it is on every Kickstarter. The second most selling cover will probably be Chris Hayes.
Which is so funny, you guys.
Oh God, I love his covers. Now, mind you guys, Chris Hayes is not an artist. He's just a writer.
He's a writer. He does this in literal crayon.
Yeah. And, he was jokingly
He's doing as a joke.
Yeah, he did this piece at a con in Texas. I was sitting next to him, and he drew this just cartoon stick figure for just messing around. And, I saw him do it and I was like, holy hell. I was like, dude, I want one of those on the cover of Psycho Sal. So the last Kickstarter, he did one. And it was Psycho Sal. It says like Little Willie Russell or Little Russell, presents on
Little
it.
Willie Russell presents.
Yeah,
like
and it's this whole Toy Story feel to it. And his was the second top selling book on the Kickstarter. People loved it. So I told him I have to have it for the next one. So, and then and I love the cover. The fans have loved it. And then of course my cover, I went more demented, but just like with Lacey. Lacey's a very talented artist. And she's got this thing she invented where she's doing these called Wicked Nuggets. And of course, it being in the 80s, back in the 80s, McDonald's had all these Chicken McNugget commercials where these guys were wearing little different costumes, especially their Halloween month. And I had to have her Chicken Nugget stuff. So she did a cover on the last Kickstarter and I absolutely loved it. And so I had to bring her back for this one. Yeah. And then of course, Sam. Vera, I've met him at a few shows ago. I love Sam and them. Really talented guy. He's got his own creator on IP with was it Dookie?
Duty.
Yeah. Duty. Sorry guys. I'm terrible with remembering shit.
Chicken nuggets. Hold on, please. Hold, please. Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets.
So he did, I asked him would he be willing to let his character, because the concept of his character is he always cosplaying all these characters.
Yes.
So he was like, oh hell yeah, I'd love to do one. And so he did that cover for me. And then of course we brought V Nunley back to do a cover. I love her style. It's really unique. It's dark and gritty and things like that. So I brought her back to give a really kind of twisted kind of look to Psycho Sal, a bit distorted. So I think she absolutely killed the cover too. And then of course my cover on it. Yeah, I'm always going to go dark as I possibly can, as evil as I possibly can. What's up, Nick? So, and I absolutely love my cover. I think it really plays into how he's become the judge, jury, and executioner of the story of what he decides on who lives and who dies. And, and the effect that he's having on the environment and the people around him.
He is a force of nature. We'll just put it that way. Yeah.
He's been a fun one, that's for sure.
He's a prehistoric shark.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a good way to describe him. Because we even broke the mold on how serial killers work. He doesn't hunt in a pattern.
No.
He doesn't care what color you are, what sex you are, rich or poor or whatever. So we even broke that mold that normally is how serial killers operate.
Right.
We wanted everybody to be terrified.
As they should be. He's coming for you.
Oh, and to answer Cameron's question from earlier, yes, I'll be doing flashback covers for Path of the Pale Rider issue number 1 and 2.
I know. Wait, where it is. So, okay, guys, because we kind of glossed over this and I was like, oh, Cameron. So, yes. So with issue number 7, we're going to re-release issue number 1 with a William Russell cover.
Yep.
And then when we get to issue 8, we will also re-release issue number 2 with a William Russell cover.
And she's cutting me loose on these two completely. I told her I want to do some really dark, really evil looking style covers. So
I like dark and evil. So
I do too.
Right?
Yeah. So. I don't know. I think I'm a big hard nut. I mean, all the tattoos and everything.
Yeah.
So, and the reason, for those that may wonder, the reason there's no levity, there's no comedy in Psycho Sal is me personally, who's a huge horror fan. I think over the last 10 or 15 years, maybe even the last 20, probably the last 20, I think there's too much comedy and there's too much levity in horror. I don't mind a little horror where you're trying to get that emotional roller coaster, but I think people way overdo it right now. We wanted to go back to where the bad guys were the bad guys.
I mean, like, we have a touch of humor here and there because some of my characters are just ridiculous, but like it's terrifying
Yeah.
what's actually happening. One thing I don't want to do is be campy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like those 80s where it's like Freddy Krueger was terrifying and then he became like
Yeah.
comedic relief partway through the
Yep.
like why? Oh, and kind of like I feel like with any genre, like it's scary
Yeah.
and then it gets more scary and then it gets funny and then it gets romantic and then it gets a
Yeah.
reboot. So when you get to romance, that's when it's time to reboot the genre. Like
Yeah.
zombie romance, warm bodies, I was like, kill me now. We ain't
Yeah.
watching. We're not doing this. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
I did. A
sparkly
lot of people like
vampires.
that movie. I
Oh,
did not.
no, I did not like that movie. I don't want sparkly vampires. I want scary
Nope.
vampires. I don't want to fall in love. I don't want no alpha werewolf. Like
No.
werewolves should be scary, right? That's my
Yep. I
point. Is like
agree.
when you get down to the romance end of the reboot the genre, please.
Yeah. And you know, and like my next book, like we're almost done with the next book.
Hey,
He's only got a few pages left to do that. And for those that don't know, I've got another book that'll be going into Kickstarter around May the 1st, give or take. That's Cursed Moonlight. That's a one-shot comic. But what's unique about this one is fully written, fully scripted by me. Yeah. So
William.
yeah, by me. It took me about 6 months just to write the damn story and get it to a level that I was even comfortable showing to anyone. Then it took me about another 2 months to write a script. So I went back and was looking at a lot of the scripts that Laurie sent me and Chris sent me for Psycho South, trying to figure this shit out. And I don't know if I'll ever write another one because it was so damn time consuming. And then
At least now wait, but now you have an appreciation of what we do, right? And it's everybody should know what the other half is doing. You know what I mean? Like I should have an understanding of what goes on the drawing side, you know, in the art production, so I understand how to communicate better and what you guys are doing. So
it's so
for
much
a
work.
lot of artists, try to write a script, see what happens.
Yeah, you'll be happy to go pay a writer real quick.
Yeah,
because it took me like, and now mind you, now that 6 months, I was working 20 minutes here, an hour there, 10 minutes there. So it was spread out over 6 months till I got that short, and it's just a short story. And then I took that short story and I converted it into script form. And then that took me another few months. You know, if I really broke it down, it probably took me about 80 hours, if not more, just to write that short story. Because changing, tweaking, you know, and then I sent the script to Laurie and I sent the script to Chris to get their feedback. They gave me some pointers and they gave me some changes that I needed to make, and I made those and then resent it, and they liked it. So we started production on that one, and that one's actually, again, a throwback to horror, especially classic black and white from the 1930s, because that book's going to be fully black and white. And that's about it's about two of my daughters, Victoria and Olivia, versus a werewolf in the cabins in the Appalachian Mountains in Virginia. But it's a one-shot comic, and it is packed action from the first page to the last page.
The art is
I think that's what horror should be. It should be just, you know,
action.
just slammed, you know.
See, and I think this is Chris Roberts, by the way, not a Chris that you know. But Chris, I think he is with you, where it's like sometimes comedy was used to cut the tension, right? For that emotional roller coaster. You feel good, then you get scared, and then you build the dread and that, and then there's some comedy and then it breaks the tension. But it's been used as a crutch for many. Often comedy cuts the weight of the situation when sometimes we just need to sit with the horror. And I think that's really one of my fortes is like, I don't let people shy away from what's the horror is that's happening in the story, with your story and with mine. It's like, this is where we live in this horrible place now, and you have to see how the people adapt to that dread, and how do they rise to meet the occasion, or do they crumble?
Exactly. And well, I mean, like I told you from the get-go, and I told Chris from the get-go, I was like, this isn't good. I stressed that, and I'm sure at first they were probably like, yeah, okay. I told them, I was like, this is not a funny comic. This is not a, you know, it's not a light comic. It's going to be heavy, because again, I working in the insurance world for 7.5 years. I saw the worst that people could do to one another outside being a policeman. So I dealt with a lot of families who lost loved ones because of attacks and assaults and murder and all these things, or, the stuff that leads up to murder. And so I wanted when people read Psycho Sal, I want them terrified. I want them understanding, which is why we took away the patterns. I want people to understand that anyone at any time could be in those shoes. You could be that victim. I don't know how many times I've watched people walk through this world in their little magic bubble that they think nothing can happen to them. And they're walking across dark ass parking lots at 10, 11 o'clock at night, playing on their phone, never paying attention to what's going on around them. And it literally takes less than 30 seconds for someone to open a door, snatch you, and close the door. You're done. And people, and maybe it's for their own mentality to not, and I'm not saying you got to walk around and be scared or walk around and fear life, be afraid to do things, but you really need to start opening eyes.
You just got to pay attention. You have to pay attention.
God.
And hey, look, it's Glenn.
Hey, what's up, Glenn?
Here's the thing, as a lifetime martial artist, understanding what predators look for. What William just described is what they're looking for.
Yep.
So if you are just not that, now you still could get attacked, right? There could be some psychopath that wants a challenge. But if you're alert and you're looking around, sometimes all you got to do is look them in the eye. And they're like, nope, this one will fight. And they don't want to fight. They want the easy pickings, right? And so that's, I everyday carry. I have.
Yeah, I do too. I carry
weapons. So
it's kind of funny when I'm sitting somewhere publicly drawing and someone sees I carry.
Oh,
because you can open carry here in Mississippi. So when I'm sitting somewhere in the park drawing or sitting at a restaurant, I've had people come up to me and, you're an artist? Yeah. I work for so-and-so. I've done this. Oh, and you carry? Like as if for some reason artists are, and I guess because most artists tend to be leaning one direction.
I guess.
And I don't lead either direction. I don't give a shit about politics or who you voted for. And I don't want to get on that tangent, but it is kind of weird.
But we don't do that on the show anyway.
Yeah. Even if you carry, though, it doesn't mean you're safe. I mean, it does help. It will discourage you. It's the same reason burglary doesn't really happen to well-lit outdoor areas.
Nick of time. There's actually a what am I trying to say? There's been police records of men going to bars and getting roofied by women, and then they kidnap you while you're incapacitated, they rob you, and they dump your body in a lake.
Yep.
It's going on
don't
all
ever get it
over
twisted.
the U.S. So don't you
ever get it twisted and think that this shit is a man-only world, because I've seen women sexually harass men in bars and stuff. I've seen men do it. I've been targeted as that before. I used to work as a bartender. I used to work in the casino world as a dealer. I've been spit on. I've been groped. I've been touched. Had shit said to me that was so damn inappropriate. It was ridiculous. So yes, and don't get it twisted and think that only men can do some of this.
The comments are funny. Nick, that's actually good, because if you don't train, then you're not putting yourself in the situation where to be kidnapped or roofied.
Yeah, exactly.
Dustin, I have questions for you later.
Yeah, don't threaten
me with a good time, he says.
Just remember, breathe through it.
Oh my God.
When she's taking charge, just breathe through it. So that's all you gotta do, guys.
Don't
just
get him started. He'll go. It gets dark.
Yeah, don't get me started. There's no filter. So as soon as I think it, I say it, which it is what it is. But yeah, it's been Curse Moonlight's been an incredible ride. Yeah, even for a one-shot comic, that's been a really growing experience. It definitely showed me how much respect legit, true writers deserve. Yeah, you usually have to pay double for that kind of stuff. That's right.
I love the chat. They're hilarious. But I appreciate that. And that advocates for what we do as well. There's a ton of artists. And I mean, some artists can write, but a lot of them could benefit from just having someone look at it. Like even with Curse Moonlight, I was like, hey, we could fix this right here. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just having someone proofread it and be like, this is really good. And then I have these ideas. You take what you want. It's totally up to you. So, you know, if it's a longer series, you might want to invest in a writer just so we pull things together. We flesh out ideas. I foreshadow. So when you're reading Psycho Sal, you don't realize that I'm setting something up in issue 4 that's going to play out in issue 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we think. And that's what keeps the readers coming back, because who posted something? It was like a hole in a wall. I just saw this on Facebook this morning. There was a hole in a wall, and someone took a sheet of paper and put it over the hole in the wall and then painted over it, like just painted the wall. And it's like, this is bad writing and good art.
Yeah,
it covers it up. It's still there. You know what I mean? Like the bad writing is still there. You guys, we're writers for a reason. We want to write your things. We want to collaborate and make your idea come to life and be badass. That's what we do. Sorry, I went on a little soapbox. What's going on?
I complain. And I just if you want to throw up a sample, I just sent you a page from Curse Moonlight.
Yes, I was hoping you would let me show that.
Yeah, so they can see how this, because Marcelo draws the interiors for me on Psycho Sal. Now I could draw the interiors and it would save me a bunch of damn money, but I just don't have time to do it.
Look, guys.
And the same with Curse Moonlight. So there's one of the sample pages, just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. Now, of course, it'll look a little different than that because it'll have the proper shading. That's just you know, the way that looks on the image. But you know, this is being drawn by another talented interior artist, Arturo, who's doing an incredible job on this book, and he's almost done. But yeah, I mean, you know, it is definitely, it was an eye opener for me. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not, you know, I understand how much it takes to go into the process of creating a comic, whether you're a letterer, a colorist, writer, inker, penciler, whatever aspect, you editor, whatever you fit into, it's a lot of work when you're doing it on the level we're doing it on. And, you know, but even though I knew that and I understood that, sitting down and trying to write something from nothing, from just an idea, and turn it into an actual cohesive short story, and then, which is difficult in itself, but to try to turn it into a damn comic script, which in my mind and my belief is even harder. Oh yeah, it definitely opened my eyes for what you guys have had to do writing my book. So, you know, kudos to you guys, because I think I would have quit in the first damn like 3 or 4 pages. So
yeah, because I gotta say, like, Curse Moonlight is great, but it's intended as a one-shot. So from my experience, writing a one-shot is just a tad easier, just because it's like it's a beginning, a middle, and end in one. We're done. You know, the whole story is there. What's that?
You don't have to remember what happened in the last issues.
Right. Like, who is this character? Did we see them before? What were they wearing? Did they have wounds? Like, there was one where William and I were like, oops, this person has a wound we completely forgot about. Like, we had to fix it.
Oh yeah, I knew when I was like, okay, I've got to write something so I have a bit more stake in what I'm doing. And I was like, it's got to be a one shot. I don't have time to try to write anything else. And you know, because I got, you know, Cycle of the Blood Moon that comes out later this year that we'll be starting production on here soon. It'll actually be one of the largest indie books on the market with 30+ issues. I will not be writing that. Hell no. I'll write all my notes. Don't get me wrong now. When I say I've got notes per book, it's pages upon pages upon pages of notes. But it is, you know, I will not be writing the script for that. So
I have a feeling I'm gonna be involved in that one. Let's just put it that way. Anyway,
you did what?
I said I have a feeling I'm gonna get called for that one.
I hope so. Like, I'm not going to front about it. You know, you're writing, again, the way you approach the projects, and you're showing respect that it's someone else's project.
Yeah.
And you're taking my notes and you're taking my thoughts and you're taking all this. And to be fair, everybody, like, I can't stress this enough. she's taken a lot of just ramblings and thought process, because I've got ADHD and I'm OCD to top it off, and so she's taking all of this just random thoughts of a madman and having to try to convert this into a script. So
that's why it's so good, because we're
which
writing
also I think
madmen.
is why we started doing live creative
brainstorming.
sessions,
Because
because
you
that's
were
way
like,
easier.
you were just putting all this. I was like, wait, where's that go? I was like, wait, no. It's like, I gotta have notes. So
Yeah.
like, we literally, like, I'll call him and I'll sit with my iPad open and I have my notes open with like, where do we leave it last time? And I'll go in, I'll just add, okay, this goes in 8, this goes in 9, and like I just keep putting it where, and it, like, when we'll talk through all of it, and it, we might touch on every single issue. And I'll just make sure that my notes go where they're supposed to go, so I can go back later. Because
and the
otherwise,
other thing
I'm
I
like,
love that you do is so we'll have that session. Like we had that session. Let's go back and talk about like number 7. We had that session about number 7 also. And not only were we laying out issue number 7, I was telling you and explaining to you what I wanted to happen, who was involved, et cetera, et cetera. We started laying out 8 and 9 too.
well,
to a
you
degree,
have
so we
to.
know where the story's going.
Yeah.
And then when we came back for issue 8, we recapped. I love the fact that you would go back and recap from your notes what we talked about, and then we would add on to that, and we'd extend on to that and tweak that and thin it out.
That's the whole point. Rich Parada? You show up out of
Oh,
nowhere.
now.
Spends extra
Now
time.
I got one of my haters. Do I got one of my haters in
don't
here?
start, Rich. We're having
what's
such
up?
a nice show.
I love
Please
when
don't.
I get my little haters, my little jealous bitches that
We're
aren't
not
willing
going
to
to
do what
talk
I
about
do.
it. We're going to move on.
Yep. Well, you better block him, because if he opens his mouth again, I'm just going to tear it into him.
Don't.
So
you don't have
you can sit back and
permission
hate
to
from the
take over
shadows
the
in the
show.
back of the bus all you want, baby boy.
I wanted
And
to
I'll
go
continue
back.
to outsell you, outdraw you, outwork you.
I wanted to go back and talk about the Kickstarter. Okay.
Yeah, but I was getting ready to have some fun now.
No, don't. I know, seriously.
That's the way it is. Once you get to my level, you always got haters that aren't willing to work as hard as you, that want to jump in and try to run their mouth. But mind you now, they're super quiet when I see them at a show. They ain't got nothing to say in person. So, it is what it is.
Let's go talk about this. We're going to talk about this. So I want to talk about some of the, because you have some really good.
Now hold up now. I've never said I don't like drama. I'll call out petty ass bullshit drama in a heartbeat. I won't tolerate the bullying, the harassing, the slandering, just like everyone else in this industry shouldn't tolerate it. So no, I don't like drama. Like, I don't want to be around drama, but I don't run from drama. I don't run from petty ass weak people that want to start shit because they're not willing to outwork me. So yeah, don't get it twisted. I don't want to be around drama. I think it's bullshit and a waste of time, but I will not run from petty, jealous ass people. I'll call you out on your bullshit. Anyway, sorry, Laurie, go ahead.
Kevin, are you going, William? I will be at Red River Comic-Con in Oklahoma in the fall.
Sadly, I am booked at a show out northeast, I believe, that weekend. The one down show of Chris's I won't be able to go to. Because sadly I was already booked at that show, being brought in as a pro artist from people that appreciate my hard work. So I'll be at that event. So I'll miss Red River.
Yeah, that's a bummer, because usually Cowtown is in October.
Yep.
And they were when I say they, I mean Chris and Kim, the ones that ran Cowtown, were just unhappy with the area and the venues that were available and the kind of like the treatment we got last year where we were. So they wanted to do something different. So we're going to try Red River Comic-Con, but it's in September instead of October. So that's how that happens.
Yeah, because I think they're switching Cowtown to a different time, but they're moving it to a different location too, to have a better venue.
Yeah.
So I'm and I can't brag, and you can vouch for this. I can't brag enough about Chris and Kimberly because Chris is a creator, writer, creates tons of great books. He has Don't Pay the Ferryman. That's in 5 years' time has sold 25,000 damn copies printed and sold. But he also runs a comic shop with Julian and Brian and them in Watauga, Texas, a great comic shop. Yeah. But Chris and Kimberly also run Cowtown Comic Con.
Yeah.
They run Texoma in Durant, Oklahoma. And now they just added a third to their list with Red River.
Red River, yeah.
But the way they promote, the
They
way
promote.
they share their platform with every single person, from the pros and guests they bring in to the people that fill the vendor tables, booths and artist tables in Artist Alley. They promote every single person equally. They've got that old school grassroots mentality, a foot on the ground locally, printing, promoting the local businesses and giving away tickets and things like that. Yeah, I love
Kevin
Chris
will be
and Kimberly.
there.
I will do every show they ever have. I
Yeah.
hate I'm missing this one. And I've
Yeah,
even
I agree.
contemplated canceling my pro invite to go to this.
Red River. Oh,
But I don't want to do that because,
no. Then they don't ask you to come back.
yeah, well, I think it's disrespectful, but that thought crossed my mind.
Yeah, you're like,
I love doing
like,
Chris and Kim shows.
They do. They run good shows. They're well organized. I've always had a good space. I've done some shows where they just cram you. I don't know, you have too, but they cram you in. You know what I mean? Where everybody's tripping all over each other and no room to breathe. That's not the case with these. I've always had enough space and ample room between, and I've always had a good time. There's always good people. The charter crew is usually there. So Lacey and Ken and Jason Turner and DJ Hall. That's how I met DJ. And yourself and me, Sam Vera, like Gilbert Perez. There's just a ton of people. Corey Daggerpron. I can't say his last name. Daggerpron. It's
something like that. But yeah, Corey, I know you're talking about. And not to mention they keep the price of the con affordable for everybody to come through the door. And I mean, they keep it extremely affordable. And it's not because they can't charge more. It's just Chris has this thought process and this mentality that if he charges the bare minimum for people to come through the door, that $15 or $20 to get in, that gives families more money to spend at the tables of the vendors and the artists and everything. So I can't brag about them enough. They're incredible.
Yeah. Dustin, what's this? Hey, chat, going to be live tonight with Addie Mae Art, and we'll be chatting about geek stuff and hanging out on a draw stream, the joy of drawing. That's cool. Do you draw, Dustin? I know you write, but I didn't know if you draw. I usually sometimes I'll go hang out on draw streams, but it's usually awkward because I just sit there.
Sadly, I think a lot of those streams, I think they kind of forget to include the audience.
Yeah.
So they'll just talk amongst themselves while people, almost like a Twitch stream to a degree.
Yeah.
It's more like they just hang out and they're talking amongst themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I just think a lot of fans will kind of bounce in and out, or they, because they'll be saying stuff. Like I'll see the chat where they're talking, but nobody acknowledges anything they're saying.
Yeah. So, well, they're not looking at the screen. They're watching what they're doing. So
yeah. So
Cameron, where are you?
By
the way, what's that? Are you in Tennessee, Cameron? I forget which state.
Yeah, he's in Memphis.
Memphis. Okay. Because he's like, come up and visit. I know. We love you, Cameron. No, Addie draws. Oh, and you don't. So you just hang out. That's funny. I respect the lower ticket prices. I was about to go to Awesome Con this weekend last minute. It was $75.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, when it's big cons, MegaCon Orlando, Fan Expo Dallas, Denver, New York, etc., they're going to be a little pricier. That's right. He moved to South Haven, Mississippi, which is right there near the Tennessee line.
Yeah.
And
congrats on your new place, by the way. Yeah.
But when you see small shows or medium-sized shows trying to charge the same entry fee as large shows, that's a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, God, it's so hard. See, that's why they need a Dustin. Dustin, someone who they're drawing and Dustin can chat, but also watch the chat and keep people involved. Yeah, so that's nice of you, Dustin. How many shows are you doing now, Dustin? God, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I don't know how you guys have time. Like I try to squeeze in a live video every once in a while, but God, dog, I don't know how you guys do it with all this other shit going on too.
Yeah.
But anyway, what were you going to ask me about the Kickstarter?
I wanted, because we touched on it and then we went to the photo, like the covers, but I want people to see, I don't think you guys understand how quickly this one took off. I understand just because I went through something similar, but this is great, you guys. And if you look, how many days were you running? 20?
20 days. So we got
20 days.
17 left.
This just launched on Friday.
Yeah.
So it's not even a week in, you guys.
Yeah, in
and
the first 7 minutes, we passed 3,000
yeah.
Of it being live, which again, like I said, the Psycho Sal does really well considering it's a horror comic. And an actual legit horror comic. So it's like I said, it's definitely a smaller niche market. It's a little harder. Kickstarter's a bit harder in general. It's hard to get seen. We're promoting on Facebook and a little bit of Instagram, etc. The algorithms are fighting against you. So we, like I said, we passed 3K in the first 7 minutes. Within the first, I think it was 12 hours, we passed 5K, and then within the first 24 hours, we were over 6,000. Just a little over 6,000. And that's normally the way Psycho Sal does. It kind of kicks teeth on the first like 24 to 48 hours. And then you have the normal kind of slow moment, and then it'll pick back up like the last week and a half of the Kickstarter. I tried to give people lots of stuff to choose from. I take all the stuff that's in the tier section and put it into the add-ons too, so people can do one-stop shopping and not have to create a bunch of emails to do a bunch of tier buying. That's a lot more work. Chris laid out the Kickstarter platform for me, so Chris Hayes did all this for me. So he had to go in and add all this stuff to the add-on section. We try to give people great add-ons. Like if you'll scroll to the add-ons, we got some of the normal stuff.
Oh, wait, you have a section.
Yeah, you just scroll down, you'll see the add-on or the stretch goals. I'm sorry, stretch goals.
Stretch goals. Okay.
So we tried to give everybody lots of stuff on the add-ons. And did you crash? I think Laurie may have crashed. We tried to give people lots to choose from on the add-on section to go with their tiers. But we also try to give lots of really goodies. There you are.
I don't know what happened. It was like something went wrong and it booted me off.
Wonderful world of internet.
Great.
The stretch goals, I really wanted to add some fun stuff to that. So whenever you get a chance to pull that back up, but we did the first few is the normal kind of stretch goal stuff, a 6x9 mini print, a 3-inch sticker, a 6x9 mini print. And Laurie can vouch for this. Most Kickstarters do not do these mini stretch goals.
Well, first of all, when William was in the back before the show started, I told him he was nuts because I was like, ain't nobody does t-shirts as a stretch goal, William. Yep. Are you crazy? Yep. But if you look at this, and not only does he do this many, I was like, you're already well into it. I was like, you're already at 6,000. You're going to end up breaking all of these. So
I know.
Holy
and I'm fine with that. Like, I told Laura's like, you're insane for this. And because again, nobody really does this. They don't give t-shirts as a stretch goal. They don't give signed exclusives of another book as a stretch goal.
He's just going to give a whole other book.
So on the $8,000 Kickstarter stretch goal, you get a free signed copy. Every physical backer gets a free signed copy of my Stray Dogs artist exclusive I did for Image Comics for issue number 10. So everybody gets that. That's a physical backer at 8K. And then just to shake the tree a little more, and all this was just decisions I made yesterday. We already had the stretch goals worked out. And I sent Chris a message. I said, hey, I want to add this as a surprise stretch goal for 8K. And you know what? I want to shake the tree and piss off a couple more people. So I want to give away a t-shirt as a stretch goal, because mostly people put these as add-ons, or they put them as tiers.
Because they're expensive. And not just expensive, it's the whole like ordering process, getting people's sizes and all, like the behind the scenes that go, because I make t-shirts for my own Kickstarter, so I know like the effort that goes into these. So I was like, you're nuts. Like, so kudos to you. I'm looking forward to having my t-shirt. Don't ask me for help. I'm not helping you.
I guess deep down, maybe I do like drama a little bit. But it's because I like shaking the tree and irritating people that tell me I can't do something. So
that's why someone was like, you do too much. And William's like, hold my beer.
Well, it's the same way with my print wall that you see behind my table at Comic-Cons. Normally, the first one I had, the first year that I was doing shows, I had a normal little 10, like 8 foot tall, 6 foot wide little banner with my prints on it. And I had some pro artists that wanted to come over to my table at a Comic-Con and tell me that I shouldn't do that. That's
Why?
too much. I should concentrate on the published work I'm doing. Well, what
I'm
I
gonna
did
do
was
what I
straight
want.
home and I ordered a banner that goes 16 feet tall, that goes about 12 feet wide. And
It's
that's the
giant.
banner I rock at most cons now.
Yeah,
You
it's
can see my
giant.
ass from across the building.
Yeah.
So yeah, I take weird pleasure when people tell me I can't do something or I shouldn't do something, because yes, those exclusives are expensive. I paid to have those exclusives. That's an artist exclusive. I paid to have those books printed. I paid to have the cover colored. I took my time and drew it. I paid for the shipping, and and those t-shirts are not cheap to have made.
No.
Then they're not cheap to have shipped. I paid for that. So you know what? I'm doing well. I'm having a great time. My fans show up. They show love. My commission lists sell out. My books I do for indie projects or I do for 500 print run exclusives sell out. My fans show up and show love on everything I do. Why is it not okay for me to do something extreme every once in a while?
I mean, you can. You'd see how bad it sucks.
But that's just it.
Do it again.
It doesn't suck for me though. Because
this is true.
I'm one of those rare situations like we talked about before the show. So my situation is a little more rare.
That's true.
But
so again,
at the end of the day, fans having a great that's what's still crazy. I guess some people call it stupid. Some people call it crazy. I care more about seeing fans grin and be excited than necessarily the money I make out of something. And I know that's counterproductive to running a business. But again, it's not like I do this every single day on every single thing I do. I mean, I have moments once a year, I'll go live and I'll draw $600 worth of artwork and I'll give it away to people in the audience that are just hanging out talking. You've seen me do that.
Yeah.
But I don't do that every day. Every once in a while doesn't hurt anybody.
Right. And here's the thing about Kickstarters that I can tell everyone for a fact. It's not just running a Kickstarter, it's the experience that people have while they interact with it. So, when we do things like the slice and dice, or when you have just really cool stretch goals that are unexpected, that's what catches people's eye. And again, I just want to say, it speaks for itself. You know what I mean? People are having a good time. People are enjoying the series. People like the art. They're having fun doing covers. You're going to find that Williams variant artists are all very vocal about being involved in this product and in this project. Half my news feed is PsychoCell because everybody tags me.
And I know that irritates some people. I get it, because they take it as spam or they take it as too. Like I've had people message me, other artists, again wanting to share their opinion, unsolicited, that tell me, hey, you promote too much, you post too much. Look, at the end of the day, this is a business. I have to outrun the Facebook algorithm. I have to outrun all the titty bouncing from all the starved attention people. I have to outrun all the advertisements by social media. I have to outrun all the dumbass political posts from every side of the aisle. I have to outrun all that. So I tell people this: be respectful, treat them kindly when it comes to the fans and stuff. And anybody who has a problem with how you promote are not there for you.
Right. And I mean, I have
tell them to unfriend you and roll on.
I mean, just scroll. That's all it takes.
I see stuff every day that I want to chime in on, and I keep my mouth shut and I don't say nothing. But
I mean, it's just scroll. Just scroll.
But it is one of those things that if you are opinionated, you're going to get heat. If you are a grinder and you're getting up here and you're getting some attention, you're going to catch heat, just like Joe Blow from earlier. It's going to happen. You as an artist, you're paid to draw what you're paid to draw. Sometimes that's going to be recreating other classic artwork pieces from covers. That's going to be recreating, statues that somebody falls in love with. There's going to be, and you're going to get heat from that. Now, mind you, what's funny is usually when someone tries to throw some shade and call you out for that, you go look at their page and it's almost every piece of drawing they've done is the recreation of someone else's shit. So it's always funny how that works out. I guess it's that whole slide of thing, but you're going to catch that heat. The better writer you are, the better colorist you are. That's just the way it goes. You're going to catch heat. You just got to try to continue to concentrate on you. Now, me personally, I like to troll. I played gaming and competitive gaming for a long time on PvP servers. So trolling was mandatory.
Oh, no.
So yes, but even regardless of the petty bullshit, the shit that happens behind closed doors, because a lot of you have no clue what happens behind closed doors. And I'm sure people have a bad thought about me, whether they've heard me say things they didn't like or things like that. Now, mind you, I'm not chasing after no one. I'm not bullying anyone. I'm not speaking untruths. If I call something out, whether it's that type of stuff, it's because I got proof on it. But it's worth it. I mean, the people you get to work with, Laurie, Chris, all these other talented artists that I've had these experiences with, all the experiences with the fans that have shown up and shown love at everything I've done. I'm so damn grateful for that. And it 100% makes it worth it. Like this is a very tough career path. And like some of you have heard me talk about in the past, I've worked a lot of careers. I know what it's like to roof a house in 110-degree weather. I know what it's like to sling a pound sledgehammer for 8 hours a day. I know what it's like to work in customer service and be cussed out, spit on, all kinds of stuff. I know what it's like to work in 30-degree weather outside, 25-degree weather all day long. This is definitely the hardest one. And that's because it hits you on all three fronts, physical, mental, and emotional.
What though? I find it still the most rewarding.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, I left my job, I want to say November of 2021, I want to say. And I was working again in the financial department of a company. And I would have terrible days. And again, customer service. And I felt like I was the person where anytime there was something really difficult or a really difficult person, send them to Laurie. I was that person, right? So always trying to troubleshoot, which was good for me because it helps me run my own business now, where it's like I don't focus on, oh my God, like I can't get
That's not my job.
Right. It is my job. It's my job 24/7. And if I don't make a decision and pivot and keep going, like things didn't print right. Okay, let's find a new printer, right? We're never using that printer again, right? You and I both had that situation. I had a colorist disappear in the middle of a project. All right, time to move on. Send them a termination, from their contract, and we're gonna find a new colorist. And that's how I got Matt Chambers. I've had, I'm planning things behind the scenes that people don't even know are happening, like answers to riddles and things that sometimes just don't work out. And so instead of, again, being upset that it's not going to happen, pivot and we're going to do something else and it's still going to be great because I manage the experience of everybody else. So I might have a crappy day, when I have to fire an artist and it sucks, but it's still never as bad as when I was working for somebody else. Dealing with customers that I didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? So it is tough. It is tough. And especially right now, things are expensive. Things are unsure. Diamond is gone, right? Can't worry too much about what is behind you. What am I going to do next? That's where you have to be.
True. You can't
what am I going to do next? How am I going to improve? Right.
And like I said, you're going to have bad days. You're going to have great days, but you have to fight through it. This is not a part-time career. I mean, I shit you not. My routine is 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I've been doing that routine for 6 years. I mean, I had less than 5 days off last year. And now that's nobody's fault but mine. I'm not complaining about that. I have a very addictive personality, so it applies well to this type of work. You know, but
I'm not laughing.
you know,
I'm not laughing at you.
no, I know what you mean. You know, I don't play
I'm
video games. I
commiserating
don't watch
because I've been in
sports.
those chat groups where William's like, "Where's my stuff?" I'm
Yeah,
like,
like where the hell is my shit? I'm waiting on you.
"Hey, Tommy, how are you?"
So you know, it is one of those things. You can't let the noise bury you. You can't let the bullshit from other people bury you. You know, if you need to vent it out, vent it out. If you need to call it out, and then roll on. Sure, get it out of your system if you need to. But you can't let the noise bury you. If you do, you'll be down and you won't get up. You know, you have to work sick. You have to work tired. You have to work, hurt. This is your business. You have to own it. Nobody's going to pick up the slack for you. You know,
If you
you
want
have
it
to have that
done,
mentality.
get to work. I always post those. I love posting those. And it's usually me telling myself to get back
Yeah,
to
that's
work
what it is.
versus on my Facebook where I'm like, hey, indie creator, get back to work. And I get like the best like people just come in and respond who are just like, you're not the boss of me. And I was like, get back to work. Like,
Yep. Yeah, I
but
do those
that's
same
me
posts every
too.
once in a while. And it
That's
is
me
a lot
too,
of it's your
right?
own personal, you're speaking to yourself. It
Where I'm
really
like,
is.
I really don't want to do this today.
Yeah.
Guess what, Laurie? Get back to work.
Yeah, I mean, I've been up since I woke up at 3:30 this morning, went to bed at 11 last night, woke up at 3:30, couldn't go back to sleep. So I laid there for a little while, about an hour and a half, finally dozed back off. And then I was awake out of bed at 5, right at 6, a little after 6, something like that. So, you know, and already this morning I've finished a cover. I've done, laid out another commission, laid out another cover. I've answered all my PMs. I've answered all my emails. And I've packaged up items I've got to take to the post office when I'm done with here with you. And then I'll be back home and I'll be finishing out some more stuff. And then I got to pack, get everything sorted and ready to leave in the morning to go to Chicago for C2E2. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And, but it's 100% worth it. Now, again, being in that unique position, are there days, especially when I have to deal with shitheads like Joe Gobblenopper from earlier, when I have to deal with that shit every once in a while? Again, because I don't mess with nobody. I don't go to anybody's page and comment on their shit. I don't send them PMs telling them what they should or shouldn't do with their business. I don't say nothing to nobody. But I keep getting pulled into this shit by weaker people. It does make me some days go, why am I here? I could be making $130K a year without breaking a damn sweat, working 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Like I did for 7.5 years. And so there are those moments where I have those second thoughts. But then the first interaction with a damn fan, whether it's through social media or whether it's in person at a show, it wipes all that shit away.
It really does. And that's why I think it's so important to not, I mean, you have to be well-rounded. And I think you do a good job of this as well, where it's like you do shows on Facebook, you go on podcasts, you promote on social media, but people are so they're keyboard warriors, right?
Oh yeah.
So to
Yeah,
get
because they
out
won't say nothing in person. I've given them the opportunity.
Right. But that's my point is when you go to the shows and you interact with people in person, it's such an emotional connection for you to tell someone and be passionate about what you do and to have them, it's contagious. They are they pick up your passion and they're excited about what you're doing. It's the best feeling in the world. And you really do need that. Sometimes it's either on social media where it's like you get trolls. I feel like sometimes I scream into the void. Look at this really cool thing that I have. Silence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you bounce your tits for 10 seconds and get all the attention.
I
didn't mean you. I'm just speaking in general.
I know what you mean. Tits are overrated, guys.
Yeah.
Everybody has nipples. Everybody has nipples, right? So,
yeah. Well, I see. That's another thing. I worked as a bouncer in a club in Memphis for a handful of years. So I've seen anything and everything. So once you've done all that, there's none of that pedestal shit anymore. So they don't draw you in like they used to. But yeah, you do. And this is a unique. And this is what I don't understand about people that's been in the business 10, 15, 20 years. I don't understand how they could dismiss fans or treat fans better than what they do. I don't get it because when you really sit and look at this industry as an artist or writer or whatever aspect you fit in, when you sit back and you really think about this, here's these people that I don't know, that most of them I may never meet, that show up on all the videos. They show up sending you happy birthday messages on your birthday. They show up telling you congratulations when something happens to one of your kids or your grandkids. They show up and buy the books that you're drawing covers for on these Kickstarters or retailer exclusives. They save up their money through the year to buy a commission from you. They save their money through the year to show up at a Comic-Con. They go stand in lines out front to wait to get in a damn door, sometimes in extreme cold or heat.
Yeah.
Then they come inside and they stand and they wait their turn patiently and quietly till they get up to your table to talk to you. How the hell
treat them bad?
Yeah. You treat them the way some of these people do. These people chose to be your fan. They chose to support your lifestyle, to give you the opportunity to do something you've probably dreamt about since you were a child.
Yeah.
That it would not be possible without every single fan that's supporting you. I don't get that. I don't understand it. It blows my damn mind. And fans deserve our attention. Fans deserve us to answer every damn PM we send them. I mean, they send us. The fact there's artists out there that these fans can't get to answer their emails or their PMs on social media that are ghosting them, and then they want to blame it on I'm too busy. Bullshit. You're a damn liar. Because if people like me, people like Laurie, people like Chris, and all these other people that can answer every damn message, reply to every damn comment, think of every comment on a birthday post, etc., and we're doing 14 hours a damn day, 7 days a week, in most cases, six on normal. There's no way in hell your ass, who is posting about sports, posting about movies, posting about all this other shit, ain't got time to answer fans. It's bullshit.
My favorite post of yours was like, hey, did you have time to finish that video game? Get back to work. Like,
yeah, and I'm not saying
you have no excuse missing a deadline if you're playing Grand Theft Auto, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you can't. I see it all the time. And like I said, we get labeled the bad guy when we talk about it. You know, we get labeled the troublemaker because most artists don't want us telling fans when asshole is ghosting you, he's not ghosting you because he's busy. He's ghosting you because he doesn't want to talk to you and he owes you art. Yeah, see, they don't want us to say that because they don't want fans to have us to pull a little curtain back. Yeah. So, but I think it's disrespectful. And I got no respect for anybody that does it. Because again, the fans are the bloodline. I know I'm an ass. I know I'm blunt. I know I'm opinionated. I know I rub people the wrong way because of those things. I know, like, I'm not delusional. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But I'm damn sure some people shot a whiskey. And I think this industry needs a wake-up call. So that's why I talk about some people tell me I'm being negative. Why? Because I'm calling out the bullshit. Now, I'm not name dropping people, but I'm just calling out the bullshit. Bullying should be a zero tolerance in our industry. Slandering should be a zero tolerance. Like Gobble Knobber up there, the only reason he's pissed is because I drew a Galactus piece per the request of the fan that the fan's paying for, of a statue that he loved. He wanted it recreated as an art piece. Now, mind you, I credit everything that I use as an homage. Mm-hmm. And I showed that piece before it was completed. But anytime it's completed, it says after so-and-so, even when it's a bullshit 3D artist who copied it from an actual artist without giving credit to it. But that ruffled his panties. Now, mind you, when I looked at his page, it was copy after copy after copy after copy where he's drawn other people's shit. And I called him out on it, and then I blocked him, and he's still pissy about it. And that was last year. Oh my God. So, yeah, that should be zero tolerance. But we get labeled the bad guy. But like I said,
I gotta reel you in, dude, because we got, believe it or not, it has been an hour and 48 minutes.
I got 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I gotta play an outro. So my point is, I want people.
You got a 10-minute outro?
Oh yeah, we have an outro.
I have to, crazy.
First and foremost, people, come support Psycho Cell 8. Come
Yep.
see what the buzz is about. If you have been sleeping on this series, it's a great time to get involved because the next one is the finale. This is my finale as writer. So
Yep.
please come, and I want you to read this series because I have done things that I never thought I could do as a writer. And I scared myself a little bit. I definitely shocked my mom. So that's what I'm saying. So please come and show up and show support
Yep.
here. We definitely would appreciate that. And then please, can you tell everybody your socials where people can follow
Yep.
you? Because if they want to hear more William Russell, where do they go?
So yeah, you can definitely follow me on social media. I've got Instagram, Facebook. I've got 2 groups on Facebook, public and private. You're welcome to join that too. I do have a website, and
Yes.
there's the post for that right there. My website has all my goodies on it. You're welcome to go shop that. Make sure you're a subscriber because I do subscriber giveaways and things like that through the year. You get discounts for being a subscriber, etc. I have Afterpay, I have Klarna, all those payment plan option goodies are on there. So you can make those big purchases and make payment plans instead of all lump sum at once. This coming weekend, I will be in Chicago at C2E2 and Artist Alley at table V18, I believe. Make sure, like I said, again, make sure you guys are following Charter Comics. Make sure you guys are following Path of Pale Rider. Make sure you guys are supporting Psycho Sal. Like I said, I guarantee you will not regret reading that book. It is one hell of a damn intense ride. Think old school Hitchcock. From the very first page of the very first book to the last page of the last book, it is just full on pressure all the way through. So definitely check it out. Like I said, if you ever have any questions, hit me up. If you ever have any, covers you need me to tackle for you, reach out to me. Mind you, I'm usually 2 to 3 covers in the hole any given time. So make sure if you got a deadline for something, you reach out to me like 2 or 3 months before that deadline. And it's not because it takes me that long to do everything.
No.
It's just with all the stuff I've got going on, travel, etc.
Yes.
I try to fit everybody in when I can.
And guys, I'm going to have 3 new covers for Path from William Russell.
Yep.
Before the end of the year, probably.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. Absolutely. Any last
thank you
words
guys for hanging out. And thank you so much, Laurie, for having me.
Absolutely. And like I said, this was such a great ride as a writer on Psycho Sal. It really was my first opportunity to write for someone else. So again, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm glad I was able to, knock your socks off and really show what I'm made of. Because I know that there's more stuff that I can do. We just start scratching the surface, right?
Yep. Like I said, I'm truly, and I know because Laurie's probably, Laurie's one of the few people I know that is extremely busy, like I am. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm just saying she's as busy as I am. And if I can manage it, I'm going to try my best to bring Laurie on for whether it's part of it, at least, because I would love to see her tell a bit of fantasy. Because Cycle of the Moonlight, that's vampires, werewolves, demons, angels, the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to try to talk Laurie into coming on for that book, at least for a handful of issues, because I think she would kill it. So no, I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much for what you've done with Psycho Sal, and the help and the feedback and the encouragement and everything that you've shown me, of course.
Of course. That's what we're here for. Karen should write werewolves. That's a whole nother story. Karen's going to
have sparkly werewolves.
No, we're not doing sparkly werewolves. No. But Karen actually would probably like these because that's the kind of freak she is. So
I like doing that. I think it's a lot of fun. I love seeing people, this experience I've had with you and Chris, even though I'm writing notes and we're talking it out, I still have really enjoyed the twist and flavor that you guys have added to the story also. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're having a good time, you guys. Can you tell? It shows. It shows. So, all right, everybody, that's the show. Join us next week. We're going to have Ray Jameson, and we're going to be talking Madcap's Holy Nerddom. What is it? D&D, comic books and zombies? Like, that's going to be a good time. So remember to be excellent to each other. Kiss your babies, and we'll see you here next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Hey! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic bright.